In Luke 16:19 through 31, we find a story Jesus tells about a rich man and a guy named Lazarus. This rich guy lives large. Lazarus starves at his gate, and then, everything flips upside down. Dogs lick Lazarus's sores while the rich man has feasts every night. Death comes, and suddenly the roles reverse. Our story is equal parts eye-opening and eyebrow-raising. If we take this story too literally, mapping out the geography of the afterlife with GPS, we might miss the whole point. I don't think Jesus was handing out a divine blueprint for heaven and hell. Rather, he was telling a story to alarm its hearers, to make them look at the world right here, right now. Picture the scene Jesus paints. There's this rich man that the text doesn't name. He's decked out in purple robes, the ancient equivalent of a designer suit that costs more than a year's rent. Every day he throws parties, tables groaning with roasted lamb, fresh bread, wine flowing, and right outside his gate, Lazarus. Not the Lazarus who got a graveside wake-up call, but the other one who is a poor beggar, covered in sores, too weak to shoo away the street dogs who come sniffing for scraps. Lazarus isn't even asking for a seat at the table. He's just hoping for the crumbs that fall when guests get too tipsy to aim for their mouths. It's a stark picture, isn't it? The haves and the have-nots, separated by a gate that's more like a chasm. The rich guy sees Lazarus every day. He steps over him, maybe tosses a coin once in a blue moon to feel good about himself. But real seeing, that's missing. Fast forward to the end. Both men die. Lazarus ends up with Abraham with comfort, peace, and an eternal family reunion. Our rich friend, he's in agony, flames at his heels, begging for a drop of water from Lazarus's fingertip. Abraham's like, "Sorry, friend, the chasm's fixed now. You had your chance." Rich guy pleads for a Christmas Carol type ghost visit to warn his 5 brothers back home. Abraham sighs. They've got Moses and the prophets and the stories of justice, mercy, and cries of the poor. If they won't listen to that, a resurrection won't change their hearts. It's a reversal. The one who is overlooked becomes the honored guest. The one who overlooked ends up alone with his regrets. But here's where grace sneaks in. That unearned gift from God that turns the whole thing on its head. Grace isn't a get-out-of-jail-free card for the rich guy. It's the quiet promise woven through the story that even in our blindness, God sees the Lazaruses among us. And God invites us, not out of guilt, but out of love, to join in that seeing. I grew up in a fundamentalist church. When I first heard this story, the focus wasn't on the haves and have-nots or the great reversal. It was on the literalness of hell, the fire. It was scary. But this made-up story misses the point if you go too literal. It's about seeing, about making time, about elevating, empowering. A few weeks ago, on a Saturday morning after a week of school, my kind-hearted 6-year-old declares, "I've been thinking about it, and I'm going to give Miss Roberts $10. My wife and I looked at each other puzzled. "Why?" we both asked. "Because she told us yesterday she spent her last dollar on Starbucks." In my imagination, my 6-year-old's teacher probably got a request for something, and she gave a reason saying she wasn't purchasing it. In my metaphorical blindness, I didn't see like my 6-year-old. But my child, on the other hand, actually saw his teacher. I'm not sure she needed his $10, but that might miss the point. He wasn't desensitized to a need. He saw her. He wanted to have compassion. A few years back, I was at a church potluck, chatting with folks about whatever, when I noticed a new family in the corner. My guess is that the dad was a single parent, kids in tow, looking a little lost amongst the chaos. I meant to go say hi, but then someone asked me a question and poof, conversation vortex. By the time I looked up, they were gone. I don't know why that family has always stuck with me. I don't know their names. I never did. I noticed them, but didn't take time to truly see them. Did anyone else see them? Were they our Lazaruses at the gate and we missed them? Today's parable isn't a scare tactic. It's an invitation to live in God's upside down kingdom, where the last are first and the gates are always swinging open wide. Imagine if the rich guy had listened midway through the story. Picture him peeking over his purple hem, spotting Lazarus and thinking, you know what? Crumbs aren't enough. Let's do a feast together. What ifs of the imagination can be the heartbeat of grace. It's not about earning our way across this chasm. It's about God already bridging it, handing us the picnic basket and asking, join me? What would it take for you to open your eyes to the Lazaruses in our world? The single parents at Potlucks, the teacher who spent their last dollar on Starbucks, whoever you encounter at your gate this week. Maybe you're the one waiting at the gate. I hope you know you are invited to the party by a God of grace. My challenge to you this week is to open your eyes, open your hearts, and may you open your gates. Amen.